It's, here I am still playing Carrier. It's been pointed out to me, I should highlight this thing, the game turn flowchart. Not using this has been one of my big mistakes. Once I started using it, and it's easier to use when I'm not pawing through a bunch of charts on camera, part of the reason why it's easier when I'm not on camera, is this has really simplified my play. A lot of stuff I kind of wasn't necessarily doing in specifically the correct order, for example. I just wasn't worried about it because it didn't make a lot of difference. Now, when I needed to use this, it was because managing the carrier operations, it became obvious, hey, it's important whether I land first or process first or whatever. And in some cases, I'm still going to kind of fudge things because, well, for example, when an airstrike happens all the way over here, you know, it's easier just as I move the air units in here rather than when I'm hitting. Now, that could be an important distinction if I've got searches out, though. Although I don't think so, because the airstrike already has its own personal information compared to the search information. Anyway, for the most part, this is the sequence of play, and for the most part, it's worth following, just for the ease that it brings. But then, I didn't even notice this sucker. This covers the end of the turn phase, which is when you check for some things that are pretty much self-explanatory, updating logs, resetting forces. That I was just going to do automatically, but this tells me when I repair the land base, and I get to roll on a little table for that over here. Doesn't seem to be any, I don't think there's a table anywhere else. 9, so I'm going to get to repair one hit off of here, and that'll help a little, I guess. I think Port Moresby is just doomed, because I don't have any real carrier support there. I don't have any ability to hit a bull with it. And this also tells you some of the other stuff, including, most important to me, check for retire. And, well, rather than do that on camera, because that'll just piss everybody off, most of all me, I'm going to pause. I'll tell you one thing, totally not understanding the game before this, advance air units on search track once per turn, not each action phase. And that makes a hell of a lot of sense. I shouldn't be jumping these things as quickly as I did. I think that gave me a real jump on the Japanese. Let's call it a surprise situation. But yeah, I was completely missing that. And once you launch the air search, it's up here. It can find stuff that's close to you, but it's got to go a complete turn to find the stuff that's that far away. And that only makes sense, but wow. This is what happens when I'm playing a procedural game trying to follow the rules that way and everything. But this little chart, putting it visually, just bang, it comes to me so quickly that, oh, why was I not thinking? Alright, well, let's start this first phase. Alright, just finished phase 1, nothing exciting happened there. Although maybe it should have. I had a carrier move and I forgot about it. I somehow translated over to the US movement. I have a really hard time with that kind of thing, remembering all the triggers of everything. So I'm going to have to look to see. He might have had a strike going, and if he did, this cap's not up yet. But I was thinking again, as I went to take a piss, you know, this kind of pulse trading thing, I went through that and wondered at the end, why was it so easy? But it didn't even come to my mind to think about this search track and how it works. And it just shows, you know, how Not on the ball I am anymore. Don't worry, you've never seen me on the ball, but I don't know. I just can't believe that I wouldn't notice that. And I mean, that was playing by myself, no distractions of the camera or anything, and I've gotten old. Anyway, this guy did move, and he has a chance of a carrier strike, and all out of order. And that's the problem, you know. Hey, this brings up the kind of, do you do takeovers or do-backs? Oh no, I made a mistake. That's fine. He didn't launch his airplane. No, bullshit, you know. And for the same, I would take a two-player game the same way. You know, if I screw up the AI, or if I screw up making a choice that I had to make, that I would not rationally have not made, I believe in do-overs. And there's this kind of discussion over on Board Game Geek about it. Well, when you're playing a solitaire game, it really kind of highlights it. It highlights the, is this something that I would possibly be able to say, yeah, you know, the Admiral decided to leave his planes on deck, to crash other planes there, to land other planes there, and then it just stayed that way. There wasn't any problem because they screwed up. No, you know, obviously where it's a more competition type situation, it's a different situation. But in a solitaire game, it really does highlight what is a mistake, what is a rules mistake or an error that is just so incredible that it's unbelievable, versus, yeah, you know, I could see that happening and you screwed up. You didn't, you know, you didn't take cover. Your troops may be, you know, we're sitting and having a picnic near the river the way, who was it? Rupert did, right? All right. Yeah, let's throw some English Civil War references into a World War II game. I'm sure that's going to go over big. No, this is not a carrier group. I went and checked it. It's the cruiser and destroyers. And actually, again, showing the brilliance, the iron trap that my mind has remained, I had checked it just 2 minutes ago. But thinking about something else, it got pushed out of my mind. Hey, there was the, hey, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I'm good right now. On to phase 2. Well, the Pulse came up carrier group 11, combat group 11, which is a carrier group. And not the one I thought it was. Oh, here it is. Okay, and the carrier in it is this badly damaged one, and I think, hey, I'm going to get my report on whether it's sunk. Well, on the carrier attack table, it had airfield and large surface fleet. There's no airfield in range. There's no large surface fleet at all. So I still don't get a confirmation on that sucker. It's a pity. I was kind of hoping, because chances are he wasn't going to be able to launch an attack. I was kind of hoping to get information that he was down. I don't get any bonus off that because I never get that far. His target selection said, nah, I'm not launching anything. And that puts us up to phase 3, and things are really kind of skimming along right now. A lot of airstrikes out, which are just, you know, moving around. Most of them are just going back to carriers at this point for me. And no Japanese attacks have been drawn yet, except for the one that I checked. I have one more carrier kicking around somewhere, don't I? This guy went. C3 is that guy. C11 is that guy. Yeah, I guess I only have 3 forces kicking around. No, I got the C4, and that has not come up. That's a potential. That's going to be another CVE, I think. Just from, it's supposed to be a level 1 carrier group. It's really unlikely that's going to come up as anything particularly potent, but it does mean more surface commitment. I'm looking, I feel like there's, where's group 6? 6 is kicking around over here. Ah, I should have a little level 4 marker under that. I hope I haven't moved that. I don't think I have. But that, you can see I had some PBY searching that was successful. Shifting stuff around, I've got another attack ready to launch now. The question is, do I want to launch searches? Because there's a lot of stuff out there I have no idea what it is. I feel like I've got plenty of time, as long as I don't let it get next to me, which I may not have much control over, but I've got plenty of time on most of this. The only thing I'm really worried about is the transports over there. I'd like to get them in search range. I don't think this is the pile I want to send out for search. I do think I want to get confirmation and finish off some of those carrier groups if I can. But I am a little worried about this getting too close to the landing spot. It's just really just a turn away. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, I'm going to have to send a task force up to cover that. Ouch. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking otherwise. Alright, onward. Ran into another thing that I forgot about completely. Mission movement. When you're on a mission movement, which is most of what I'm doing here, well, first of all, carriers can't, this is why I looked it up, carriers can't enter the shallow zones. So I wanted to see, hey, does this carrier force keep moving or not? But then I ran into, and didn't really find an answer to that, so I said, hey, it probably does. Then I found an answer, or I found another issue here, which is, when you're doing this mission movement, a U.S. air source within 8 hexes somewhat interdicts you. And I've got an air source right here within 8 hexes. What you have to do is you have to roll a die. And if you get under, equal to or under the distance, you're allowed to move closer. You will never move into the same hex as a U.S. air source. Now, I've been kind of forgetting that, and you've been seeing some pretty bold movement by the Japanese. And in fact, I think that kind of hurts me because I'm worried that one of these surface forces or something will catch me. But the truth is that they're very wary of my airstrike capability. As they should be. But the only way they're going to come to grapple me is to come close. Anyway, I've started playing with that. But obviously that's going to change the flow of the game. If the Japanese are standing off at a distance where they can launch planes and I can't, that's going to change the whole flavor of what you're seeing. Oh well. Alright, it's time for me to check to see if this force can launch an attack. Which probably actually means... Oh, no it isn't. What the hell is this? Oh, this is the unknown force. This is the carrier that I haven't discovered yet. Okay, which means it might be hitting me. And it too got the magic number, the 7, which will not hit a carrier. So I get a free pass again. Little bit of a close brush here. This group, I've already checked it. Probably too early, but I'll let it stand. Only ended up 1 confirmed hit against it, which means it has an air power of 5 sitting there still. Now, it didn't move closer. If it had moved closer, the turnaround chart would say, yeah, I can attack. But the truth is, it's 3 to 6 hexes away. It cannot attack. I probably shouldn't have checked that damage till then. I should still be in the dark. But I'm not, you know, this hurts me. I'm not going to cheat on that. I've been cheating in my favor enough with that early warning system that I had with the searches working full scale early in the game. Being able to jump them out to here very quickly, whatever. But I gotta wait till next turn before those carriers hit. Now that means that I can have planes launched which can hit by next turn. But it is kind of neat that this thing that I thought I had knocked out and damn near sunk is operational, and it has 4 air points left on it. that it can service. You know, thinking about that, the way I understand, of course I could be wrong, but the way I understand the rules, the Japanese carriers reduce their air strength by the hits that they've taken. So this guy here is heavily damaged, and I have heavily damaged next turn markers, but I don't have any, I don't think, heavily damaged markers that aren't last turn, which is kind of a pity, because I'm not going to as easily remember this is heavily damaged. But that means I can't count that carrier at all for anything. That's fair enough. That would happen to the U.S. carriers too. Once they're hit enough, they have no nothing on board. They're no ability to launch at all. But these guys with the limited damage, I get to recover from limited damage. And limited damage either means my flight deck is usable and pretty much full value, or unusable and not full value. So the question here is, well, why is my flight value reduced? And, well, I can only hold 5 planes, so I threw one off the deck. The Japanese carriers operate differently from the U.S. ones, and I don't think that that represents anything in reality. So again, there I think I have a real gripe about a little bit of the consistency of how it handles things. I'm willing to ignore that. My mind is far more on operating the chits and all the charts and everything. And finishing up phase 3, moving closer. I'm throwing some stuff into the search box. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I get lucky next turn, I'll be able to do some searches on those. But I am a little worried about the carrier situation here, knowing, although I probably shouldn't, that this thing is damaged. I'm trying to play without knowing that, but whatever. And I've also got some real trouble on cycling times, etc. I'm planning on launching another airstrike next turn. And I may delay it a little bit, send the SBDs up first, then the TBDs following up. That's not going to happen next turn. Oh, yeah. Wait, what? I'm planning on launching an airstrike and then an airstrike. Gotcha. Okay, so, yeah. So I should be able to get a hit in on something. On this phase, I'll be able to launch even at something I haven't detected yet. But it's risky here, because I want to make sure to try to stop those. I figure I got such a jump advantage in this game that I'd better do well, really well. On the Japanese side of this, the PDBs saved my bacon again, discovering this carrier group. So I keep contact with it. They also knocked out another counter. But I am going to be losing contact with these guys if I'm not real careful somehow. These guys are going to disappear. All kinds of interesting stuff's going to happen. Cleanup for the turn. Port Moresby gets a double fix. I've launched an airstrike against this force. Let's, that does degrade. A number of these are going to degrade. I've got to take care of it. This guy's going to degrade, and I don't know if I lose contact with him partially. This guy, I lose an information level, I think. But he has air power assigned to him, so that makes it all complicated. I'll come back and talk about that in a moment. What I really wanted to highlight here, and made me jump the gun, is the Rabaul. You know, this is some big threat. It's got a lot of planes, 17 planes in it. Well, it launched a 2-wave strike, and I think that means I'm pretty much safe. I made the roll for it, and there wasn't, it wasn't going for the right things. But I'm not sure it can. If I treat this as a single 6-6 strike, that's something I got to look up for. They've got their 2 strikes out. They've got to wait for their turnaround time to launch another attack. On the other hand, they do have 5 points of air power that they haven't used yet, which they could hit. So the repair on Moresby may not be that big a deal. It may just be, hey, must be safe until this doesn't come back. This doesn't land until turn 9, and then there's this cycling time to hit here again, 15 spaces away. It's going to take a few more turns to get there. So there's quite a bit of time for me to repair this. Of course, I don't have any planes there anymore. I kind of wish I had been able to launch them before I got hit. Alright, the fact that I've got air power assigned to the C4 group, that it has a revealed air strength, means that, yeah, I can't just clear that out and say, yeah, that carrier doesn't really exist. Those were figments of my imagination. Those weren't real planes. In any other case, though, if I've only identified something to level 1, it would decrease to a nothing. It might have just been a mystery force there. But as this stands, I do know there's a carrier operating somewhere in there, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. Alright, well that's the end of turn 6, and we're going to load this one up.